It's about the last words that Jesus spoke to one of the most revered figures in Catholic history, Padre Pio, just before he passed from this world. These words are not just a moment in time, but a bridge that connects us to the eternal message of hope, love, and sacrifice. Padre Pio, the Capuchin friar who bore the wounds of Christ in his own body, was known for his deep spiritual insight and his intimate connection with God. However, what many might not know is that in the final moments of his life, he received a profound message from Jesus, one that would resonate with believers for generations to come. Before we dive into the powerful final conversation between Padre Pio and Jesus, take a moment to reflect on what it must have been like for someone so closely aligned with the divine to hear these final words. These were words spoken by Christ himself, not to a distant follower or even to an angel, but to a man who had been chosen to carry the burden of his suffering on earth. We all know the story of Christ's passion, his crucifixion, his death, and his resurrection. But Padre Pio's life mirrored this passion in a unique way. From the moment he was marked with the stigmata, the wounds of Christ, Padre Pio's existence was intertwined with Christ's suffering. He lived a life of prayer, sacrifice, and service, always deeply connected to the sufferings of others. But in those final moments before he passed, Jesus spoke directly to him, offering words of comfort and divine purpose. Many believe that Jesus' final words to Padre Pio were words of assurance, reminding him of the work he had done, the souls he had saved, and the path he had paved for others to follow. As you listen to this account, imagine the warmth, the divine presence, and the peace that must have filled Padre Pio's heart when he received these final words. Jesus, in his infinite love and mercy, was speaking directly to his beloved servant, telling him that his mission on earth was complete and that he was about to join him in eternal glory. These words, spoken in the stillness of a moment between life and death, are a reminder to us all. They teach us the importance of our own spiritual journeys, the power of prayer, and the beauty of living a life fully devoted to God's will. As we reflect on the final conversation between Jesus and Padre Pio, it's important to remember that every soul has its own unique path to walk. For Padre Pio, his path was marked by suffering, but it was also marked by incredible grace. Jesus' final words were not just for him, but for all of us, reminding us that no matter how great our struggles or how deep our pain, we are never alone. Christ is with us, always. It is said that when Padre Pio passed, he smiled, as if he had already seen the glory awaiting him. His suffering was over, and he was about to be enveloped in the loving embrace of Jesus Christ. What words did Jesus speak to him in those final moments? Were they words of comfort, of love, or perhaps words of encouragement to continue his mission in heaven? Let's delve deeper into this profound encounter and see what we can learn from it. Before we continue, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Padre Pio and his life of faith. Do you find his story inspiring? Do you feel that his connection with Christ speaks to your own spiritual journey? Let me know in the comments below. I always love reading your thoughts and experiences. Now, let's talk about what happened during those final moments. Padre Pio had always been an exceptional soul, chosen by God for a special purpose. His entire life had been marked by extraordinary events: his stigmata, his visions, his ability to read hearts and souls. But nothing could have prepared him for the powerful exchange that took place on the night before his death. On that night, as Padre Pio lay in his bed, his health deteriorating, he suddenly experienced a moment of deep spiritual insight. Jesus appeared to him, just as he had appeared to so many saints throughout history. What followed was a conversation between the two that would forever be etched in the hearts of those who knew Padre Pio. Padre Pio, ever humble, listened attentively as Jesus spoke to him in gentle tones. He told Padre Pio that his work on earth had been incredibly important and that his prayers had been a lifeline for many souls. Jesus acknowledged the immense suffering that Padre Pio had endured throughout his life and assured him that his sacrifices had not gone unnoticed. In fact, they had been the source of much grace for the world. But the most remarkable part of the conversation came when Jesus spoke to Padre Pio about the future, about the continued power of his prayers even after his death. Jesus promised Padre Pio that his intercession would remain strong in heaven and that his prayers would continue to affect the world in profound ways. These words were not just for Padre Pio, but for all of us. They were a reminder that, even after death, our prayers and actions can still have a lasting impact on the world. As Jesus spoke, Padre Pio's face lit up with peace and joy. He knew that he had fulfilled his mission and that his work would continue beyond this life. It was a moment of divine reassurance and one that would give countless people hope in the years to come. As you can imagine, these words had a profound effect on Padre Pio's followers. They were a reminder that even in our darkest moments, even in the face of death, we are never truly alone. Christ is always with us, guiding us, comforting us, and offering us his love and grace. When Padre Pio passed away, he left behind a legacy of faith, love, and devotion that continues to inspire millions around the world. His final conversation with Jesus is a testament to the power of prayer, the importance of spiritual sacrifice, and the enduring love of Christ. Now, as we reflect on this sacred moment, let us remember that Jesus' words to Padre Pio were not just for him, but for all of us. They remind us that our own spiritual journey is significant, that our prayers are heard, and that we are never far from God's embrace. Before we conclude, I'd like to remind you that you are never alone in your own spiritual journey. Just as Jesus spoke to Padre Pio, he speaks to each one of us in our own way, offering comfort, guidance, and love. So, if you're feeling lost or uncertain, take a moment to pray and listen for his voice. You may just hear the words you need to hear. As we move forward, let's delve deeper into the legacy of Padre Pio and the profound impact his life had on those around him. His story is one that transcends time, a testament to the power of divine grace working through the humblest of souls. But what was it that made his connection with Jesus so extraordinary? What made him the vessel for such deep spiritual insights? And why did Jesus choose him for such an intimate final conversation? Padre Pio, from a young age, had a profound sense of vocation. From his childhood in Pietrelcina, Italy, to his time as a Capuchin friar, his life was marked by a deep commitment to prayer, penance, and devotion to God. He was chosen to carry the stigmata, a physical manifestation of Christ's wounds, and this marked him as one of the most unique figures in Catholic history. But his relationship with Christ went beyond just these visible marks. It was in his humility, his unwavering faith, and his deep, constant communion with God that Padre Pio truly stood out. Throughout his life, Padre Pio experienced intense spiritual battles, suffering, and isolation. Yet, despite these challenges, he never wavered in his commitment to God. His life was a constant prayer, an offering of sacrifice, and a testament to the power of divine love. His connection to Jesus was so deep that it seemed almost as if they were two souls intertwined, both suffering and rejoicing in one another's presence. This bond was most evident in the final moments of his life, when Jesus spoke to him directly, comforting him and affirming his purpose. As we continue to explore their conversation, we can only imagine how Padre Pio must have felt hearing the words of Jesus. In his final moments, Jesus assured him that his work was not over. He spoke of the souls Padre Pio had touched during his lifetime, the countless individuals he had helped through prayer, confession, and his deep spiritual wisdom. For Padre Pio, knowing that his efforts had made a lasting impact was the ultimate affirmation of his calling. But Jesus did not stop there. He told Padre Pio that his work would continue beyond the earthly realm in ways that only the divine could orchestrate. This brings us to a key lesson from this conversation. It's not just about the work we do in this life, it's about the lasting impact that can ripple through eternity. Every prayer we say, every act of kindness, and every moment of grace has the potential to change the course of a soul's journey, both here on earth and in the afterlife. For Padre Pio, his life was a constant offering, and in return, Jesus promised him eternal reward. It was an affirmation that the prayers of the faithful are never in vain, and that God, in his infinite wisdom, uses each one of us to fulfill his divine will. As we think about Jesus' final words to Padre Pio, it's important to remember that these were not just words meant for a saint of the past. They were meant for all of us. Each and every one of us is called to walk a path of faith, to offer our prayers and sacrifices, and to trust in the divine plan for our lives. Just as Jesus spoke to Padre Pio with words of love and encouragement, he speaks to us today, calling us to a life of service, devotion, and grace. But Padre Pio's journey wasn't easy. It was marked by suffering, loneliness, and spiritual warfare. He bore the weight of Christ's wounds, but also the weight of the world's sins. He felt the pain of the souls in purgatory, and he constantly interceded for them, even at the cost of his own comfort. Yet, despite all of this, Padre Pio never lost sight of his mission. His life was a reflection of Christ's own suffering, and it was this connection that made his final words from Jesus so powerful. So, what can we learn from this? What lessons can we take from Padre Pio's life and his final conversation with Jesus? First, we are reminded of the importance of prayer. Padre Pio's constant devotion to prayer was not just a ritual, it was a lifeline to God. His prayers, even those that seemed simple or distracted, were always heard by God. This is a powerful message for us all. No prayer, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, is ever wasted. God hears our hearts, not just our words. Second, we learn the power of suffering. Padre Pio's life was filled with physical and emotional pain, but he never allowed it to separate him from God. Instead, he used his suffering as a means of drawing closer to Christ. His willingness to endure for the sake of others shows us that even in our darkest moments, we can still serve God and others. Suffering, when offered to God, becomes a means of grace and salvation. Lastly, we learn about the eternal nature of our actions. Padre Pio's final words from Jesus remind us that what we do in this life matters beyond the here and now. Our prayers, our sacrifices, and our love for others have eternal consequences. Just as Padre Pio's intercession continued even after his death, so too can our own prayers continue to affect the world long after we are gone. As we reflect on these powerful truths, let us remember that our lives are part of a much larger story. We are all called to live lives of prayer, devotion, and service to others, just as Padre Pio did. And just as Jesus spoke to Padre Pio with words of comfort and encouragement, he speaks to each one of us today. We are not alone in our journey. God is with us, guiding us, and offering us his love. In conclusion, Padre Pio's life and his final conversation with Jesus serve as a reminder that no act of faith is ever in vain. Each prayer, each sacrifice, and each moment of grace is part of a larger plan, one that transcends time and space. So, let us continue to pray, continue to serve, and continue to trust in God's divine plan for our lives. And as we do, let us remember that, just as Jesus spoke to Padre Pio, he speaks to each of us with words of love and encouragement. As we continue our reflection on the profound message that Jesus shared with Padre Pio in his final moments, it's essential to take a step back and consider how these divine words resonate with our own lives. Padre Pio, with all his trials and sufferings, received these words as the culmination of his life's work, a life dedicated entirely to God and his service. For all of us, Jesus' final words to Padre Pio serve as both a reminder and an invitation. Throughout his time on earth, Padre Pio was a man who lived deeply in the presence of God. His every action, every prayer, every word was a testament to his unwavering devotion to Christ. And yet, even with all that he had done, Jesus chose to speak to him with such tenderness in his final moments. There was no rebuke, no condemnation, only words of comfort, love, and affirmation. These words were not only a reflection of Padre Pio's own spiritual journey, but also a manifestation of God's boundless mercy. We can learn something deeply personal from this moment. In the face of trials, uncertainties, and even moments of spiritual dryness, we are often tempted to think that God is distant or silent. But the reality is quite the opposite. Jesus is always present, guiding us, comforting us, and reminding us of our purpose. Just as he spoke directly to Padre Pio in his last moments, he speaks to each one of us in the stillness of our hearts. The challenge, then, is not to question God's presence, but to remain open to his voice, especially when we need it the most. In fact, Padre Pio's life shows us that God's love and grace are often hidden in the most unexpected moments. Despite the stigmata, despite the incredible spiritual gifts he was given, Padre Pio's life was not without struggle. He faced doubt, isolation, and deep inner turmoil. But through it all, he remained faithful to God. His life was an act of surrender, an offering of his heart and soul to the divine. And in the end, God responded not with judgment, but with words that reassured him of his place in heaven and the work he had done to bring others closer to God. This, of course, brings us to a very important question. How do we respond to Jesus' words in our own lives? How do we allow his love and grace to guide us, especially in times of hardship or uncertainty? The answer lies in the very nature of the final conversation between Jesus and Padre Pio. Just as Jesus assured Padre Pio that his work was far from over, he promises us that our efforts, too, are never in vain. Every prayer, every act of kindness, every moment of sacrifice contributes to the kingdom of God. And while we may not receive direct messages from Christ like Padre Pio did, we are given the gift of prayer, of the Eucharist, and of the Holy Spirit to help guide and strengthen us. Padre Pio's message, then, is one of hope. It's a call to persevere in faith, to trust in God's plan, and to remember that even the smallest act of love or prayer can have eternal significance. One of the most striking aspects of Padre Pio's life and his final words is the emphasis on the power of prayer. In his own life, prayer was not just a ritual or an obligation, it was a constant conversation with God. He prayed in every circumstance, whether he was in the confessional, walking through the courtyard, or suffering from physical pain. Prayer was his lifeline, his way of remaining connected to God and fulfilling his divine purpose. And what Jesus conveyed to Padre Pio in those final moments was a reminder that prayer, even when we feel distracted or overwhelmed, is never wasted. Jesus told Padre Pio that no prayer, no matter how small, is ever lost. Even a simple Hail Mary, offered with sincerity, can have an immense impact on the world. This is an incredibly powerful message for all of us. Too often, we think that our prayers must be long, eloquent, or filled with great emotion to be effective. But the truth is that God listens to the intention behind the prayer, not the quality of the words. In this, we can take comfort. Even in moments when we feel unworthy or when our prayers feel weak or distracted, they are still heard. God sees our hearts, and that is what truly matters. Padre Pio, in his humility, understood this well. He knew that his own prayers were not always perfect, but he also knew that they were sincere and offered with love. And in those moments of sincerity, God's grace would flow through him to others. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on this beautiful truth. How many times have we prayed in moments of doubt or uncertainty? How many times have we wondered if our prayers are being heard? Yet, the message from Padre Pio's final conversation is clear. Our prayers are always heard. God listens to the cries of our hearts, and he responds in his own perfect way. It is not the grandeur of our words that matters, but the love and faith with which we offer them. And as we consider Padre Pio's life, we are reminded of the power of intercession. Just as he interceded for souls in purgatory, so too can we intercede for others. Our prayers for loved ones, for the sick, for those in need. These prayers carry weight in the spiritual realm. Padre Pio's final words remind us that our prayers, even those that feel insignificant, have the power to change lives and touch the hearts of those in need. So, what does this mean for us? It means that we are all called to be intercessors, just as Padre Pio was. We are called to pray not only for ourselves, but for others, especially for those who cannot pray for themselves. We are called to offer our prayers as acts of charity, trusting that God will use them in ways we may never fully understand. Padre Pio's final words to Jesus were a reminder that every soul matters. Every prayer counts. Every act of love has eternal significance. And though his earthly life came to an end, his intercession continues to inspire millions today. His words remind us that no matter how small our efforts may seem, they are always seen by God, and they are always part of his divine plan. As we move forward in our own lives, let's remember Padre Pio's example. Let's make prayer a constant in our lives, not just in moments of need, but in moments of gratitude, joy, and love. Let's offer our prayers with sincerity, trusting that God hears us, just as he heard Padre Pio. And let's remember that even the smallest prayer, said with love, can have an eternal impact on the world. As we reach the conclusion of this profound reflection on Padre Pio's life and the final words he received from Jesus, let's take a moment to pause and absorb the depth of the message we've uncovered together. This sacred conversation between Jesus and Padre Pio is not just a story of the past. It is a living, breathing reminder for all of us. It reminds us of the eternal power of prayer, the immeasurable grace of God, and the unwavering love that Christ has for each of us. Padre Pio's life was a testament to the power of faith, the strength of perseverance, and the beauty of humility. He lived a life that was wholly devoted to God, one marked by suffering, sacrifice, and unceasing prayer. But it was also a life filled with moments of deep joy, grace, and divine connection. And in the final moments of his earthly journey, Jesus spoke to him, affirming the work he had done and the souls he had helped to lead toward salvation. But let's also remember that these words were not just for Padre Pio, they are for us too. Just as Jesus spoke directly to his beloved servant, he speaks to each one of us with love and compassion. His words remind us that, no matter where we are in our own spiritual journey, we are never alone. God is with us, guiding us, loving us, and offering us his grace. The message of Padre Pio's final conversation is one of hope, reassurance, and the constant presence of divine love. In our own lives, we may experience times of doubt, struggle, or spiritual dryness. But in those moments, we can take comfort in knowing that God sees us, hears us, and walks with us. Like Padre Pio, we may feel weak or distracted in our prayers, but Jesus assures us that even the smallest, simplest prayer, when offered with sincerity, is never wasted. God hears our hearts and responds in his perfect way. Padre Pio's final words also remind us of the importance of interceding for others. Just as he prayed for souls in purgatory, we too are called to pray for those in need. Our prayers, no matter how small they may seem, can have a profound impact on the lives of others. They can bring comfort, healing, and light to those who are suffering. In this way, our prayers become a channel of God's love and grace, just as Padre Pio's prayers were. And finally, the message of Jesus to Padre Pio is a call to live a life of love, sacrifice, and service. Every act of kindness, every prayer, and every moment of grace is a step toward fulfilling our divine purpose. We are all called to be vessels of God's love, just as Padre Pio was. Through our words, actions, and prayers, we can bring light to the world and make a difference in the lives of those around us. As we conclude this reflection, let us remember that our spiritual journey is not a solitary one. We are part of a larger story, one that is filled with love, sacrifice, and grace. Just as Padre Pio's life and final words continue to inspire millions, so too can our lives be a reflection of God's love. Let us continue to pray, to serve, and to love, trusting that our efforts, no matter how small, will have an eternal impact. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey through Padre Pio's life and his final conversation with Jesus. If this story has touched your heart, I encourage you to share it with others. Let's continue to spread the message of hope, love, and grace that Padre Pio's life so beautifully exemplified. Before we finish, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the message we've explored today. How has this story inspired you? How can you apply the lessons from Padre Pio's life to your own spiritual journey? Please leave a comment below. I look forward to reading your reflections. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories and spiritual reflections. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you on your journey of faith and love.